Hey everyone, it's Raj from 3CB Performance. Today's topic is Golden State Warriors center Demarcus Cousins, who went down with an apparent left leg injury during the first quarter of the team's Game 2 first-round loss against the Clippers on April 15th, evening the series at 1-1. The injury occurred as Demarcus was chasing down a potential steal and his left leg collapsed underneath him. Following an MRI on the following day, the injury was announced as a quadriceps tear, with his season most likely over. The quadriceps refer to a set of four muscles, hence the quads, that sit on the front of your thigh. They're actively responsible for extending or straightening your knee and controlling knee flexion or bending. Additionally, one of the quads, the rectus femoris, also crosses your hip joint and is responsible for flexing the hip as well. Based on Demarcus' mechanism of injury, the specific way he got hurt, and the location of the injury, I believe he injured that rectus femoris muscle. Going back to the video, you can see that his left hip is flexed and his lead foot is hitting the ground. This is known as the force absorption phase of running, immediately preceding that leg collapsing. During that moment, the rectus femoris muscle is actively flexing the hip while also lengthening while contracting, known as eccentric contraction, down towards the knee to control knee flexion. This is all happening on a dead run, which puts even more stress on the rectus femoris muscle. In fact, it's the most taxed muscle during running. This creates a triple stress on the muscle, which leads to it tearing and Cousins' leg collapsing underneath him. Additionally, there was a picture taken of Demarcus walking back to the locker room, and you can see there's an indent about 2/3 of the way down the middle of the knee. That location lines up with the rectus femoris muscle, and that 2/3 spot is one of the three most common spots for quad tears. The indent is likely from the muscle tearing and then recoiling. Further, based on reports of no surgery needed and the Warriors taking a wait-and-see approach, where they're going to assess his first 2 weeks of rehab before they officially rule him out for the playoffs, it tells me that Demarcus very likely has a grade 2 tear, meaning he tore up to 75% of the muscle fibers, rather than a more severe grade 3 full rupture, in which case he would almost certainly need surgery to reconnect the muscle and assuredly be out for the playoffs and even more. The return to play timeline for a grade 2 quadriceps tear can be as high as 10 weeks. For Demarcus, that would be late June, when the season is already over. However, there is some variance with that timeline. If Demarcus is responding really well to rehab early on, there's a possibility that he could come back during the finals, assuming the Warriors make it, and that lines up with what the Warriors are doing with their wait-and-see approach that I mentioned earlier. Regardless of returning for the playoffs or not, let's turn to Demarcus' longer-term prospects, and that's where the injury could be devastating for a number of reasons. Firstly, part of the reason why Demarcus came to the Warriors is that he'd be able to rehab from his left Achilles tendon rupture without any pressure of coming back too early or playing a superstar role, allowing him to get as close to 100% while going deep into the playoffs and setting himself up for a longer contract. Now all that is essentially down the drain, which has to be really difficult mentally, and then to add to that, he now potentially faces yet another extended rehab, which is never easy. Secondly, this injury is on the same left leg as he tore his Achilles on. From the research, we know that an Achilles rupture can lead to muscle atrophy and side-to-side asymmetry for multiple years after the injury. Now you add another major insult to that same leg, and you're really climbing uphill. The Achilles tendon and quads are such important and highly stressed muscles that tearing just one is a major injury, but tearing both on the same leg is a whole other conundrum. All in all, this is a really tough situation to be in for Demarcus. I certainly wish him the best, and he's going to need some time to recover mentally as well as physically from this second consecutive major injury, just as he was really starting to turn it up for the playoffs. That being said, there's still an outside chance that he responds really well to rehab these next 2 weeks and becomes a great comeback story for these playoffs. At the worst, he should be back on the court by late June and have the majority of the summer to keep working on his mental and physical fitness. That being said, he'll very likely have another depressed free agency market for his services and very well could end up with another 1-year show-me deal. That does it for this video. You can always find me on social media at Instagram and Twitter, and sub to the channel. 3CB out.